Good evening, everyone. How are you all? So, welcome to First Aid AMC MCQ free trial session tonight. I am Dr. Arshan Ahmed, and I am the main mentor, or I'm the main conductor of this MCQ course for the IMGs who is preparing for Australian Medical Council exam. So, many of you know about us. Many of you are here because you have learned from others, like from your colleague, maybe from your study partners, or you have seen our reviews everywhere. Like whoever is preparing for AMC, everyone knows about first aid. So I'm sure you are here by learning from others and also learning from different groups about us. And I'm sure that whatever you learned are good reviews, and that's why you are here. So tonight, I'm going to give you an idea that how we are going to conduct our 5 months MCQ course and why a lot of people join us and why this course has the highest passing rate in AMC exam. So the course is structured in a way that covers each and every part that can appear in your exam. It has changed throughout the years that we have started doing this course. So for many of you who don't know about us, so we have started this MCQ and clinical course, and that it's been about 8 years since we have started. And throughout these 8 years, we have changed a lot, like how we are conducting the classes, how we take the class, even the course portal has got changed recently. We just started a completely a new portal for you guys, which is like super better than the other one that we had before. So it has changed in a way. The AMC MCQ has been changed because, as you know, that AMC also changed a lot throughout these years. They made it hard and difficult for students to pass the exam. But we also changed exactly in the same way so that our students can adapt these difficult scenarios that can appear in the exam. So the course will cover any aspects of AMCQ exam that can possibly appear in your exam. So we guarantee that nothing will be untouched in the course, and we will try our best to make sure that you are 100% prepared for the exam. So tonight's session is divided into two sessions or two part. Initially, I'm going to give you an idea how MCQ exam is conducted, how to start your preparation, what are the tips and tricks and everything all. In the second part, we will try to start a trial session on psychiatry. Psychiatry is very important for exam, and it is one of the most difficult subject for MCQ exam. So I'll try to start a bit of psychiatry so that you understand how we conduct classes as well. Okay. Now, anytime we do the session, we always try to keep everyone muted just to make sure there is no noise in the background. But this is always an interactive session between you and our mentors. So you can always write any queries that you have in the chat box. Okay. So just make sure that type your queries in the chat box, and I always keep the chat box open. So if any queries that I see that you have, I will always try to answer them. Okay. You guys can hear me fine, right? Brilliant. Okay, let's continue the session. So now, we don't like to brag, as you know, that First Aid doesn't do a lot of advertisement. We do, we try to reach to the students, but advertisement is not our best way to go. We always rely on our students sharing their feedbacks with others so that a honest feedback or review can bring other candidates to us and we can guide them the right pathway. And that's all that we have been doing throughout these years. And we make sure to keep that standard so that we don't lose that standard that an Australian course should have. Now, remember, all of our mentors, including me, we work in Australia, and I have been working in Australia for a long, long time. I have experience in both hospital and general practice, and I know in and out of Australian health system. And there are lots of courses that you will find out online that they just recently passed their exam, not even working in Australia, and they started conducting courses. There are lots of free course, lots of Q banks, lots of things are there in the like you will sometimes you will get overwhelmed by all of them. But the best way to start your preparation is always to have a structured way instead of going through everything that you see in Facebook or any other Telegram or WhatsApp groups. Now, I always say if you're going for your exam, keep your eyes and ears open. That means, yes, you should be on in those groups to have some idea what's going on around you, but please do not go through everything that you see there. Okay, not everything is the right guideline, not everything is the right pathways. So try to follow someone who knows the guideline that's we follow in Australia, because if you are if you have started preparing for AMC, by now you know that AMC doesn't have a good guideline about a lot of things. So we know that John Murtagh is there, but John Murtagh is not the definitive. Sometimes, like, we can't find out questions answer in John Murtagh. And John Murtagh not always the best guideline as well, because it's just very concise, doesn't go through each and everything that you guys really need to know for passing this exam. So if someone doesn't know that what we actually practice in Australia as part of medicine or any other subjects, it's never going to be easy for that person to conduct any classes. They can conduct class based on John Murtagh, but the real guideline that we follow, they will never be able to teach you that. So we always advise you that when you go for a course, especially this is your first thing that you are doing to become a doctor in Australia, your basic starts from here. You may be a specialist in your own country. You may know a lot of things because you may have passed, let's say, PLAB. You may have even appeared MRCP. Maybe you have done USMLE, few steps, but it's still Australian guidelines are not same as them. So it is quite different. The diseases that are common in Australia are not common in your country. Like if I give you an example, all of you know a lot about tuberculosis, right? Or thalassemia, because these are very common in your country. But in Australia, I have never seen a patient with thalassemia. Okay, I've seen thalassemia minor couple of patients, but never so far I haven't seen a thalassemia major patient, which is like this is that much uncommon. Same with the TB. You'll never get a TB patients because it's barely seen in here. So that's why you also need to know that what are the common demographics or what are the common diseases that is usually more prominent in Australia. So without having those knowledges, it's difficult to know what to learn or what kind of topics you should know. I want to break some of the myths that you will find out going through like lots of people who pass their exam, or there are a lot of scammers as well nowadays we see. So those myths are also important not to rely on. The number one myth would be just just do some recalls and you will pass this exam. Remember that these are the people who is trying to sabotage your preparation and also your way of learning things that is really important to becoming a doctor in Australia. Because it is right that AMC also knows that they give half of the questions as recall, and that is also written in their own guideline, and half of them are new questions. But if you just do the recalls or solve some past papers, first of all, most of those are not full questions, and you might end up just memorizing the answers of them by learning from somewhere. And most probably those are wrong answers because the exact questions might be totally different in exam. So doing just recalls is never going to be your way of passing the exam. I've seen a lot of students who appeared MCQ exam 4 or 5 times because they just did recalls. And then they come to me and they ask that, Doc, I have been trying for the last 5, 6 times and I failed every time. And I asked that, what did you do? What did you prepare? They say I covered recalls of the last 2 years. So the thing is that it's not the way to go for the exam because recalls are not for memorizing. It's for learning the important topics that is important for exam. That's all that recalls gonna be useful to you. It's not about memorizing the recalls. So like there was one doctor who actually passed from our course recently, and I was very shocked to know that he or she posted in a Facebook group that she passed just because she just did a Amidex QBank. And then I was very shocked to know about it because Amidex QBank or M plus X or any QBanks that's available in here, even our QBanks, if we say that it is not enough to pass this exam. QBanks cannot make a candidate pass the MCQ exam. It is not the way to learn. So learning starts from knowing the theory in and out. Theory is important. It should be a blend of theory, knowledge, and also doing the past questions. So your MCQ preparation should be a blend of both. You should know a very good theory. You should have in and out of the important topics. You should know everything about them. And also you should be aware of what questions are coming in exam, what are important topics for exam. Yes, I'm not saying that you should not know that. You definitely need to know that. And our course is going to show you those as well. It's going to be a blend between theory so that your basic knowledge is really good, so that any kind of questions come in exam, you know the answer of them. And then, yes, we are going to cover the questions as well. So any of you who is going for preparing MCQ, please make sure that you combine the both. It's not only the recalls, it's not only the Q banks. These are the people who is misguiding you, trying to sabotage your dream. And eventually, like if you are very lucky, you might end up passing the exam by doing a lot of recalls. But eventually, when you actually start working here, you will suffer a lot because your knowledge is not enough to actually work here. And you will not actually enjoy being a doctor here because each and every step of the way, you will be questioned. And and working in Australia as a doctor is not the easiest thing because this is not about like working in a country where you can actually do anything you like. But in here, each and every patient's life is important. Your registration will be gone within a second if you don't do right. So having a proper knowledge is really important, right? So MCQ preparation is actually the main pillar of your being a doctor in Australia. So please make sure to do it right. If you want to come in here, if you want to be a doctor in Australia, there is no shortcut in here. So having a shortcut in your life when you just start having that dream is going to be a very, very difficult journey in that case. Okay. So the next part, the next myth I got to know that don't go for exam in some specific months of the year. Like don't go for exam in February, March. Don't go for exam in the middle of the year. There is nothing like that. Anyone can pass exam at any month of the year if they are well prepared. And every month questions are difficult. Every month people fail. There is no good month of going for the exam. Some people say that don't go for exam in India because that's really hard. Don't go for exam in Australia centers because those are very hard. It's myth. There is no specific country where questions are hard. Everywhere questions can be hard. Questions can be easy because it's just the software and how you how you answer the questions in the exam, your questions will be will be easy or difficult based on that. I will come into that, how software works in MC exam, so that you understand these myths. So my main advice for all of you who is preparing for MCQ exam is to make sure to learn from someone who knows the system, who is already in the Australian health system and who can guide you through experience, through knowledge, and also through mistakes. We also did mistakes in our life. We know where you can fall into the trap so that our experience can become a guide for you. That's what I want to do. Okay. Now, if you look on the screen, you can see that this was our last year November exam passed candidate, and this year November exam we're doing like double than this because we already have seen a huge amount of candidates have passed the November exam. So we haven't got the list of all of them yet, but hopefully when we start the class next year, you'll see a long list of passing candidates from first aid for this year as well. And if you are in our First Aid AMC MCQ Facebook group, you always can see that how many students are passing each month from this course. Just in September, I, I, I think I counted about 25 to 30 students who passed the exam from our course. So we have got a lot of students who passed the exam, and almost 90% of them are first-time attempt candidates. So I barely see someone who actually prepared well for this exam who failed the exam. And now again, we can't guarantee that everyone will pass because there's going to be a lie. There are students who just go for exam without preparing fully. And for them, we can't say anything because ideally they should be fully prepared before going for exam. But I have seen students who come and show me that, Doc, this is my portal result. Like we have our own portal where students can appear the exams. So, Doc, I have given these exams in your portal. I passed 70% or I got 70%, 80% mark in most of the mock exams. What do you think? Should I go for exam? And usually those candidates who get this kind of pass mark, when they go for the exam, they don't fail the exam. So a well-prepared students will never fail exam from our course. That we can guarantee. So First Aid AMC MCQ, the new course is starting from 6th of January. And today is your first trial class to learn about us. We are not going to do a lot of topics today. It's about learning about MCQ course. And from 6th of January, there is a 2 weeks free session. So this 2 weeks free session will allow you to learn about our course. Me, including any other mentors, will take classes for these 2 weeks. And you'll be able to learn how we conduct classes. And that is usually one of the best way to know if the course is going to be helpful for you or not. If you are going for any courses in your life, please make sure to at least have few sessions with them as a free session because anyone can take one or two class really, really good because they might be really good in that topic. But if someone can take 2 weeks free session and you love those sessions, then you can be sure that that course is good for you. That course is going to be helpful for you. So I always say that if you are not sure to join this course, make sure to join those free 2 weeks classes with us, and then you can enroll anytime you like. Okay? So these 2 weeks free sessions, the schedules will be given in the First Aid AMC MCQ Facebook group, and you should be able to join just like how you did today. Okay? Now, let me give you a little bit of an idea about the course details. So, First Aid AMC MCQ, this is a 5 months course, And the course is structured as a combination of theory and question-based classes. So I'm going to do the full theory sessions with you. So in theory classes, we cover each and every topic that can possibly appear in your exam. So we mainly take help from John Mottag ninth edition, which is the current edition. And there are lots of other books like Kaplan Step to CK, RSCGP, Therapeutic Guidelines. So all of those as a combination, I will conduct the full theory sessions with you. We also have other mentors who's going to take your recent exam-based question solve classes. So each month-wise, we will cover the questions that is important for your exam. And you will get to know what are the important topics that is frequently appearing in exam. And you'll be able to learn the important questions as well. So there will be theory sessions and there will be recalls or past paper related question solve classes. Okay. In our software or in the student portal, you will get all the course materials. So you'll get our notes, all the class recordings will be given there. So we usually keep the recordings as a minimum of 10 months. So from the time the course is started, 10 months is a minimum access to the material. So which is a long period of access that you can get. If you want to have more access, you can also buy the additional subscription fee, which is like 15 months subscription. So there is a way that you can prolong your access as well. Now, very important feature in our student portal is that you get unlimited software-based mock exams. So we divide the mock exams into monthly mock exams. We do theory-based mock exams like cardiology, psychiatry mock exam, and there are lots of full or grand mock tests, which means that exactly similar like AMC MCQ, you can have those grand mock exam in the portal, which is really helpful for you to understand the way the exam is going to be. Then you also get some free Q bank. Okay. So in our portal, we will add some Q banks that's going to be helpful as well. We try to cover the recent 5 years question solve. So usually in our live classes, you will get the recent question solve that's important, but there will be a lot of other previous year question solve that will be added in your portal with explanation. Okay. So you can also get 150 CPD hours from us. So First Aid AMC is a part of a certified learning provider. So we are also a accredited CPD provider in Australia. Now, not every course can achieve that, but we are one of the AMC MCQ course who can also give you CPD as part of a certified learning provider. Okay. So to enroll into the course, this is our website. So if you just type firstaidamc.com.au, you'll be able to go into our website and then you can enroll into the course just by going into the course details. And if you have any queries, one option is that you can either message me in the messenger. So if you are in First Aid AMC MCQ Facebook group, you know me. So just go to Arshan Ahmed and send a message in my messenger. Or there is also our email address where you can send email as well for any queries. So that's firstaidamc4536@outlook.com. Okay. Now I will show you our website that how to enroll into the course a little bit later. Okay, not now. All right. So before I go into further discussion, I want to just know if you guys have any questions so far about the course. Okay. So how can I join the 2 weeks free sessions? 2 weeks free sessions, as I mentioned, you will be able to join exactly like how we have done today. There will be Zoom ID given in the Facebook group with the class schedules. We haven't published that yet, but we will do it within the next 1 week. The course will be available. So it's a 5 months course, and then you can you have several options in during your enrollment. You can either get a 10 months access or 15-month access. The theory can be used to pass any other exams. Yes, this theory can be used to pass any other exams because this is pretty much more or less similar in everywhere. This is not about first aid. This is more about AMC exam. What is the time for the course every week? The time is 8:30 p.m. Sydney time to 10:30 p.m. Sydney time. And we conduct 3 days a week. No CPD is lifetime valid. In Australia, a CPD is only valid for 1 year. So any course that you do, that will be valid only that year that you are appearing that course. So if you do a course in 2026, you can only use that course for 2026 CPD. Okay. There is a installment options in the course fee. So that yes, there is a 2 installment option, but installment option is only available in the first 2 weeks of the enrollment, which will be in the first 2 weeks of January. Yes. So that's one of the important thing about the course is that the class recordings are there. So if you buy a subscription for 10 months, the class recordings will be available for that 10 months period. So if anyone can't join a live session or let's say you have a 2 months gap of your preparation, there is nothing to worry because you can always come back and start your preparation from where you stopped. Okay. So this this is really difficult for us to have that many videos in your portal. We also pay a lot to keep that storage, but that is one of the most important thing for this course that we provide because we know how busy life can be, and it is not always the easiest way to prepare for an exam just for 5 months. So we always try our best to give you that opportunity so that you can at least have your preparation for 10 12 months and then go for the exam. Anyone can enroll now, so the admission is open, so you can enroll now, and but the course access will be given on the first week of January. Yes, so we will give all the book as a soft copy. You don't need to buy any books by yourself. Now we can't give job offer, Dr. Sean, but yes, we can, like with some additional subscription fee, you can get a one-to-one job related queries with one of our mentors. So we have some sessions like that where you can have a subscription and then you can come and do a one-to-one session with us to learn about how to search the job and what to do to improve yourself so that you can get a job offer. But we can't help anyone to get a job because that's not how it works in here. You have to apply for the job, but we can make you well prepared for the job. Okay. This CPD is valid for only 2026, and that's for any courses. So when you are going for a job after part one, you'll be able to add this course in your CV saying that in 2026 you have done this course. So that's going to enrich your CV by doing that. No, 10 month start from when we start the course. It's not when you join the course. Okay. because it's not possible for the software to give multiple duration like that. The software is designed in a way that the 10-month access will be counted from the day when we start the course, which is from 6th of January. So CPD is not our today's topic. CPD is a very complicated topic, and that is not the most important thing for AMC MCQ students. So today I'm not going to cover this part. We will have a session on job related or registration pathway. There is a free session that anyone can join. So we always have that during these first 2 weeks free sessions. There will be a class when you will be able to learn about these CPDs a lot. Okay. And any job related queries, that's gonna be also part of that class, not today's session, because today's session is more about AMC MCQ, not about job. I know all of you wants to get a job, but the first step of even thinking about job is to pass MCQ, because without MCQ, you should not even think about job. This is a complete package for AMC MCQ. There is no need of any extra research apart from what's going to be covered in this course. You can join at any time. If you enroll now, course system. Unfortunately, we can't give access before January, but as soon as the course start in January, you will be able to get all the previous classes that we have taken in the last batch. So what we do that if any of you is appearing in April or March, then once you start the access from January, then we offer all the previous classes that we have taken in the last batch. So you get access to the full course immediately after enrolling the course. But again, that is only available for people who have paid the full amount. So once you pay the full amount, then you get access to the full course that we have just finished. And that is more than enough to go for the exam in March or April. Along with that, all the live sessions that we are going to do, that will be added as the live session goes. So for someone who is planning to appear in early months of the year, that is how you can start your preparation. Now you have 3 weeks between first week of January and now. What you can do is to start your preparation by going through some of the important topics from John Mortag. So start reading the John Mortag. You can even go through the AMC handbook just to get an idea about the questions. Do not go through the explanations of AMC MCQ handbook because those are a bit obsolete nowadays. But at least you can learn the important topics from AMC MCQ handbook. So start your preparation like that. And then by the time we start the course access from 1st of January, you can just start your preparation in full rhythm. Okay, so how to go for the payment and everything for the course, we will discuss that just after finishing this class. Okay, so let's go ahead with understanding about AMC MCQ exam because that's more important for you, I guess. So AMC MCQ exam is a software-based computer adaptive exam, which means it is a computer adaptive test. So CAT exam, if you have done this kind of MCQ exam, you know what it is. But if you have never done a computer-based exam, then it's a bit new for you. So first of all, AMC MCQ, or let's say that you started dreaming about being a doctor in Australia. What is the first step? The first step is knowing what AMC is. So for a standard pathway, that means for someone who is not a specialist, standard pathway involves passing the AMC MCQ exam and then passing the English test. With MCQ and English test, you can apply for a job. And then also you need to pass the part 2, which is AMC clinical exam. There is a lot of in and out in between that, but that's the basic. Now that you know about the part of AMC, the first step is to pass the AMC MCQ, which is the part 1. In part 1, the first thing that you do is you need to go to amc.org.au. amc.org.au is the official website for AMC exam. And you can learn each and everything about AMC from this website. And this is the website that you will go for registration of the exam as well. Okay. Now, in case of part 1, so in MCQ exam, when you start your preparation, the first thing you should do is to have your MBBS degree verified. So you have to verify your MBBS degree through ECFMG. Nowadays, you can do this online. All of the medical degrees can be verified just with online. There is a new portal AMC has created last year, Intel Health. So we will discuss that in the course, how to do that. But once you go into the ECFMG, so ECFMG will verify your MBBS degree. Once they verify your MBBS degree, then you will get an AMC candidate number. With this candidate number, you will be able to register for AMC MCQ exam. So the first and foremost thing is to make sure that you create an account in AMC portal and apply for verifying your MBBS degree, because it can take some time, like a couple of weeks. So you should be well prepared, and you don't want to waste your time just before your exam for creating all this account. Now, once you have a AMC candidate number, then anytime you like, you can appear for the exam. Getting a AMC MCQ exam seat is not difficult because MCQ exam happens every month and there are lots of seats which is available. Now, let's say that you have registered for your MCQ exam and you are appearing the exam, let's say in June 2026. So what you should do? So you start the preparation with us, and in the 5 months course, we will start from January and that's going to finish in end of May. Okay. And if anyone wants to go for June or July exam, you will be well prepared for it with this course if you give 100% of your time. Now, you also need to know that if your country has the exam center for AMC MCQ, like not every country has the center, so you have to know that I know that in Asia, the China, Thailand, Singapore, they have, and I believe Pakistan also have it. So they are the one. India definitely has a center as well. So these are usually the exam centers. Most of the candidates in Southeast Asia, they usually go to either Thailand, Singapore, or India for appearing the exam. So that means you also need to prepare for a visitor visa in those countries to appear the exam. Okay, so these things are quite important to know because you don't want this hassle just before your exam. So you have to start preparing for those as well. Ideally, we always advise you, like if your country doesn't have an exam center, then you should make sure that you have done everything ready for the exam, get the visa and all. Now, at least 4 to 5 days before your exam, you should go into that country so that you get settled. You don't want to go to the country one day before your exam and go for the exam next day because you might get sick, you might not feel better. So at least a couple of days ideally 3 to 4 days before your exam, you should go to that country so that you get settled a little bit. When it is your exam date, you go to the exam center. In exam center, they will verify your identity by your passport. So you will need to show your passport. So make sure you apply for your passport if you haven't done it yet. And then they will need another additional verification identity, which can be your bank ID, could be a national identity. So the bank ID is usually the best one. So if you have a bank credit card or Visa card or an international MasterCard, usually those card will have your name on it. If your card doesn't have a name on it, then it's not actually yours, right? Like there's no way of verifying your name on it. So usually we advise that make sure you also give your sign on the card if there is a way there. So a lot of card have an area where you can sign your name there. So make sure you sign there, make sure your name is there on the card, and that's going to be useful for your verification as well. If you have driver license, then you can also use that as an additional identity document. So you need at least 2 identity documents so that you can go into the exam center. Okay? Let's say you went into the exam center. Exam is a computer-based exam, which means that you'll be taken into an exam room where there will be multiple computers like this. Each of you will sit in separate computers like that. Now remember one thing, that each candidate who is here, their exam questions are not same. So if you think that, well, let's see what this candidate is doing, and whatever he or she is doing, I'm going to just copy paste that. That's not going to work because all of their exam questions are completely different. So the software is designed in that way so that each question is different based on how you answer the questions. I will discuss that just in a bit. So this is a question. This MCQ exam has 150 questions and it is 3.5 hours in duration. 150 questions will have 500 marks. Out of 500, if you get 250, you can pass this exam. So it might seem very easy to get 250 out of 500, but it's not that easy. If you are well prepared, that is the only time you can pass the exam. So do not take this lightly. It looks easier, but it's not that easy. If you are not prepared, you will not pass. Now, these are the subjects for AMC MCQ preparation. So what happens in MCQ preparation is that it's not about knowing the basic a lot, it doesn't have questions of pharmacology, biochemistry, physiology. Those are not the topics in AMC MCQ. AMC MCQ, the topics are medicine, surgery, we have gynae and obstetrics, pediatrics, psychiatry, population health is the biostatistics. So you can see that medicine and surgery carries the most of the questions and the rest of it are more or less same. Okay? Now, I'm sure all of you, when you appear the exam, you want to see that your mark is at least on the top of 250 or on the right side of it. You don't want to come on this side. So to make sure that you are on this side, make sure that you have a good guideline that you can follow. I always say that do not waste your time by digging your nose into multiple things. It's just going to be difficult and it's going to waste your time because it's easy to learn from a course which has a structure in place and a well-known structure where a lot of candidates pass the exam. There is a structure to follow. And I'm sure you should not have any doubt in first aid AMC preparation because our students, the passing rate should give you that confidence that this course has the structure in place which can be easy to follow, and you can pass the exam. You will be delighted to know that just recently finished course, which we just finished in end of like early November actually. Some of the students appear exam from that course and they passed the November exam. I was like I'm so proud of those students who appeared the exam just immediately after finishing the course, and they end up passing the exam just within 4 months of preparation with us. So the course has that structure in place, which will be more than enough to pass this exam if you can follow us. Okay? Now, coming back to how the exam is going to be conducted. It's important to know it because without knowing this, you will make mistake. So I'm going to give you a basic idea that how the exam is going to be. So this is a guideline which is released by Australian Medical Council. And this guidelines is a user's guideline for anyone appearing for exam. So we already know that it is 150 questions and it's a type A questions, which means that there will be a question, there are 5 options and only one correct answer is there. So you have to choose only one option from the 5 options. Sometimes the options, 2 or 3 options might be equally right. So you might say that that is also a right option. Why, if I choose that option, why I'm not getting it right in the exam? It is called the best option to choose out of 5. So even though there might be multiple correct options to choose, you have to choose the best one. So that is important to also understand. Okay? There are no double answer. You can only choose one answer in each question. Out of 150 questions, 120 questions are scored questions, which means you will be scored on only 120. That means 120 questions will give you 500 marks. So it's not like every question carries equal marks. Every question has different marks in the exam based on the difficulty. Okay, like some questions might be a easy question might be just 1 mark. A little bit more difficult question will be 2 mark. Some question might have 4, 6, 8, or even 10 marks. Based on the difficulty, the marks will be different. Now, there is no way you will be able to know which questions carries which mark. So marks will not be appeared on your exam questions. So each question is equally important in the exam. On the top of that, you know that 120 questions are scored and 30 questions are pilot questions, which does not carry any mark. Unfortunately, you don't know which question is scored and which one is pilot in the exam. So again, each question is equally important for you. While we are on this marking system, how the questions appear in exam is, let's say a candidate got the first question, which was quite easy, and he or she got it right. The software is designed in that way that the software will give you a little bit more difficult question because you got that easy question right. Then the second question, you got it right also. The software will give a little bit more difficult in the third question. So in that way, if you get everything right, your questions will become more and more difficult until you get it wrong, and then the software will reverse again back to easy question. So if you get a lot of hard question in the exam, doesn't mean that you have done bad. Likely chance is that you actually did good. That's why you ended up getting a lot of hard questions. So we see a lot of candidates who say that my question was very difficult and I'm sure I'm going to fail. Those are the candidates who ends up passing the exam easily. And then other candidates who say everything was really good, it's very easy, I got every recall in my question, and they're the one who eventually fail the exam. So if your questions are hard in the exam, do not blame your luck. It's likely that you're going to pass the exam. Okay? All right. One of the other thing that I want you guys to know is the last 20 question is always a scored question. That we know, even though AMC doesn't say, but we know that the last 20 questions, so from 130 to 150, those 20 questions are always a scored question, and those 20 questions carries the highest mark in the exam. The reason is quite simple because everyone will be stressed at the end of their exam. They might be running out of time, so the chance of mistake is very high. So that usually always carry high marks. So please make sure that you have a good idea about the timing of the exam and you are not wasting time in your exam initially so that you don't end up getting those last 20 questions right. You have to finish 150 questions in the exam to even get your exam result published. So that is one of the other important thing that someone, let's say that their 3.5 hours was finished when they were just at 120 question. They could not finish 150. Even though they could pass even from this 120 question, the software will not publish the exam result. The exam result will be failed immediately. That is how the software is designed. So if you think that you will not be able to finish 150 question in the exam because there will be time in the monitor, if you think that you will not be able to finish it, please make sure to choose blindly and at least finish 150 question and end your exam so that at least you get your exam result published. Because there is no way you will pass the exam if you do not finish 150 question. All right? There is no negative marking for exam. So if you choose wrong answer, it's just going to be a wrong answer. There is no negative mark. There is pilot questions. This is actually from AMC. So pilot questions are still there. But yes, there is no flagging. So I'll show you later on. Previously, we could flag the questions that we are not sure. And then at the end of 150 question, we could come back to the flagged question and we could change our answer. So when I appeared my exam, that is what was like available at that time. But for the last couple of years, this option is no longer available. AMC has made it more difficult by just abolishing this flagging option. So nowadays you can't flag anything. So the questions that you are choosing initially, that's going to be your last answer. Okay. After 150 questions, all you can do is to end your exam. You can't change your answer at all. So how this works is that let's say that this is one of the question. Okay. So you get a question like that, and you can see that on the right upper corner, that is where you can see the time, that what is the remaining time you have. So if you are in this question, you have to choose an answer. So let's say you choose option C. There will be an option in here, like a button to click next. So if you choose this option and then you click the next button, then you will go to the next question. Once you are in the next question, you will not be able to come back to this page anymore. This is your last answer. Previously, you could even go to the previous question and change the answer if you want, but now you can't. Okay, now let's say that you haven't clicked the next button. You're still on this page. You have chosen this one, but while you're on this page, you thought, no, I think this is not the answer. I will choose this one. You can do that. You can change your answer as long as you're on this page. But as soon as you click on the next button and you go to the next page, it's done. That is your answer for that question. Okay? And once you come to that 150 question, then in here, there will be a button of end the exam. So you have to click the end exam. Once you click on the end exam, there will be a pop-up saying that are you sure that you want to submit your result, you want to submit your exam, or you want to end your exam. If you click yes, your exam will be submitted, and that's when the software will be able to detect that yes, you have done your exam, and then your result can be published. Does it make sense, guys? Now, in our portal, we have made the portal exactly the same way AMC has. So in our portal, you will be able to get the exam like environment. You will get all the things that the exam software has done. So it is really, really good to practice the exam questions in our portal. In that way, you will know how to manage your time in the real exam, and you will also get that experience that you can use in your real exam. Okay. So if you don't answer a question, you will not be able to go to the next question. So you have to choose one answer. A very good question, JM. So you have to choose one question. Only if you choose one question answer, then you will be able to go to the next page. You can't come back. Okay. How to adjust time for every question, we will show you in our course how to do that. Okay. Rituparna, what do you mean by number in exam question? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the number you're asking? Or the mark? Yeah, there will be number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up to 150, there will be number in that. Yeah, that's fine. That's right. Okay, so you know about how the exam is going to be. These are the ID requirements. So you know about that. There will be a write board. So there is a board there with a pen where you can write if you want to write anything. You will not be able to take anything in the exam hall. Okay. When you sit down in the exam room, on the screen, this is what you will see. That is the first thing. So please do not touch the keyboard until advised. Okay. So they will advise you to start the exam and then you touch the keyboard. So the proctor in the exam will first make some announcement. Once the announcement is completed, you can activate the exam by clicking on the next button. So there will be a next button here. You see the next button? Once you click the next button, your exam will be started. 4 introductory screen will appear before your exam begins. So first, there will be a non-disclosure agreement where you will need to click that yes, you agree on this agreement. And then after that, if you do not agree, so if you select I do not agree, your exam will be terminated. So please do not do that. Second screen is a practice question. So they will give you a practice question so that you understand what to do. Once you do that, you can click on the next button. Then there will be a practice question 2. Click on the next button. Now remember, your exam hasn't started, so you can take some time here. So it's total 10 minutes you get to do this. Fourth screen is the examination information screen where they will say this is a MCQ exam and 3.5 hours and all of them. So if you take a break, there is no additional time for it. So all of these will be given in here. Then you click on the next button. They will say if you are ready to begin the exam, select the yes button. So if you click the yes button, then then your question will be appeared. Okay? Remember, you cannot continue with any question unanswered. So if you have to choose one option to go to the next question, as we mentioned. There will be a timer like this on the top right corner of this screen. And we talked about finishing the exam. Okay. So that's all that you really need to know for as part of the exam. I hope that made sense. No, you can't take your watch. There is a watch given on the monitor, and that's all that you can. You can change your answer after choosing one as long as you are on that screen. And Dr. Afifa, we only allow one device for the portal. Nothing. You can't take anything in there. Okay? Yes, a proctor will guide you when to start the exam. No, as I say, Dr. Abdul, you can only finish the exam after you attempt all questions. You have to choose, even if you don't have time, make sure to choose any answer and come to 150 question and finish the exam. After the payment of AMC MCQ exam, then only we can choose a date. Yes, I guess so. So anyone who is prepared for exam, at least 6 to 8 months of preparation is ideal. If you can give time, then 6 months is minimum to appear the exam. If anyone after passing the exam say that they have just passed the exam within 2 months, they are just lying. And they're just showing off and saying wrong things to you. So please do not think that anyone can pass this exam with 2 months preparation. Okay? Anyone who passed the exam, they have to take a preparation for at least 6 months. That's minimum because there is a lot to learn. No one can do that. Yes, so at the moment we have started admission for the new batch. So if you enroll now, you will be into the new batch. The degree verification, ideally you should do in the middle of your preparation at least. You can't download anything from the portal that is illegal. You will be blocked immediately if you try. No, no one will be able to get any access till 1st of January. So anyone can get enrolled now, but we will not be able to give access until 1st of January. New batch class is going to start from 6th of January. So 6th of January, we start the free 2 weeks classes, and those free 2 weeks class is part of the course. And after the 2 weeks class is done, then we start the rest of the classes for the course. Okay. So if anyone want to join for this new batch from 6th of January, you can do it from now. We have already got a lot of students who have already enrolled. So the enrollment at the moment is for the new batch. We have closed the admission for the previous batch. There is a way that if anyone just want to get a recording of the last batch, they don't want to join the new batch, they can ask for it. Like someone who wants to go for February exam, they don't have any time and they just want to get recorded session of the last batch. We still do that, but they have to ask us. But anyone who is paying at the moment will be directed towards the new batch. Okay. Definitely, you need internet for anything at the moment. Without internet, AMC exam is not going to work. Okay. Yes, 8 to 10 months for average student is okay. Yes, you can prepare the exam. I passed my exam while doing the house job. So it's fine. You will be okay. Now, because this is a MCQ exam, we don't have any limit for the admission. More, half of our students do offline class. That means they just do the recorded session, and half of our students do live sessions. It's not very crowded anyway. We always answers everyone's question, just like how I am doing now. I always make sure everyone's question is answered, and it's also any of our mentors will always do that. Okay. You can join the course anytime you like, but it's better to join when we start the course so that you understand everything. If you join a course in the middle, it's difficult to actually understand what we are doing. Live classes, we take three to four live class each week. So there is a lot of live classes for 5 months duration. E-Medici is a new thing for AMC preparation. I have seen the e-Medici. It's not the best. Like I believe AMC handbook was better than that. The problem is AMC handbook has some wrong answer. But e-Medici, if you have some time and you want to buy the subscription, you can do it. It's not the best. 2027 end. That's a long time, Sharaf. For anyone who is like you want, I would always suggest that 1 year before your exam, then come to us and do the course. Okay? So if you are going for exam at the end of next year, then I would suggest that yes, you should join the January batch. Okay? But 2027 is 2 years from now. So you don't need to join now. Okay, now before I go into your rest of the questions, I want to go through a few other things. So these are the list of books that you need to cover. So if you have a look over here, that all the books that you need, it will be given to you from the course. We haven't got the JM 9th edition soft copy yet because it's not actually available, but I'm hoping it will be available next year. So JM 9th edition is the main book for your preparation. I still say that go to the handbook of AMC MCQ just to know the questions, not the answer, just to understand the questions. I also follow Kaplan Step to CK for theory a lot, not every topics, but few of them. You don't need to go through it alone because I will cover it in our class. Now, subject wise, let's say if we think of medicine from where you should read it, medicine we should read definitely John Murtagh has got a lot. Apart from John Murtagh, RACGP website will be very important for medicine. So RACGP or AJGP, that's really important guideline. Then we also cover medicine from Kaplan Step to CK. Apart from that, nothing else is really needed. After medicine, surgery, John Murtagh doesn't have a lot for surgery. For surgery, it's a combination of John Murtagh and Kaplan Step to CK. Mostly we will cover surgery from Kaplan Step to CK. For pediatrics, the most important guideline is RCH, which is a website where most of the important topics are written very, very good. And then John Murtagh Pediatrics, also very important. Kaplan Step 2, we rarely go through that, so it's not super important, but this two is really important for pediatrics. Gynae and Ops, John Murtagh is enough. With that, we will cover a little bit from Kaplan Step to CK. Psychiatry. Psychiatry is difficult. So there is a combination of John Murtagh. Kaplan Step to CK will be our main guideline, and UWorld USMLE. That's also very important. We don't have a lot of good guideline like RSCGP for psyche. For psychiatry, we can go through RAND CP, but it's not really, really needed. As long as you know a good basic, you will be fine. For gynae and obstetrics, we also ask you to go to SA Health, which is really important guideline as well, like RCH or RSCGP. Then for ethics, I usually take a class on ethics. That's mostly will be important for exam, but you can also read from 100 pages of Conrad Fisher and a stat Kaplan Step to CK. I usually cover the topics that is needed for a stat. That will be enough. So I know it is a lot by looking at it, and that's why I say 6 to 8 months preparation is needed. Not everything is needed, only the important things are needed. And I know what comes in exam. I know what are important topics. Our mentors are well experienced because they have done these courses for a long, long time. So they are also well aware of the important topics. So these are the guidelines and resources, but if you want to finish each and everything from them, there is no way anyone can remember all of this. So guideline will be really important for your preparation. Now, for medicine, we also cover a lot of topic from ETG, which is therapeutic guideline. So that's also super important as well. So all of these books will be given in the course, so you don't need to buy from it. And yes, we have separate notes for each of the topics. So notes usually will cover most of the important things. Sometimes we go through some of the website, John Murtagh, to discuss few topics, but notes usually will have most of the important topics there. You don't need to go through these books alone. In the classes, I will cover them, and that's all that you will be required. All right. So I believe you got a good idea about the classes, about the course, about at least how AMC exam is going to be, right? So today I'm going to start a little bit from psychiatry so that you understand that I'm not just babbling or I'm not just talking a lot. I also know how to make things easy for you. So definitely, there will be lots of other free classes to attend for the free 2 week session. But I always love to start a little bit in our first trial class so that you get that vibe. Okay. Um, yes, these books you will be able to download, but we don't allow any of our materials to be downloaded. Yes, so any device you should be able to attend the class. Yeah, Kaushik, you are right. The mocks, I don't know what's your name. Your name is showing as Samsung E236B. So yes, if you get admitted to January batch, we give all the mock test straight away. So mocks will be available straight away when you enter into the course. So you should be able to get all the mock exams there. The reading materials is a combination of everything that we are saying, right? So reading materials covers your class notes, these books, the topics that we are going to cover. So it's a combination of a lot of things. You don't need to take subscription for any Q banks, okay? The course will be more than enough. It is ideal to book your exam at least 3 months. So if 3 months before I would suggest that 3 months before your exam, you should book your seat so that 3 months you will have a really tough preparation. Yes, the reading materials and class slides will be enough. Dr. Nay, your exam is on mid-May. If I start preparation on 6th, will be, yes, that will be enough time, Dr. Nay. If I would suggest that just start reading the John Mortag in this 3 weeks time. That will be important. And if you want me to say what you should start with, start the start some of the maybe just start the pediatrics topic from the John Mortag. Okay, read the full pediatrics chapters, and that way you will be way ahead of your preparation. So pediatrics and gynae obstetrics, usually everything is needed from John Mortag. So if you are waiting to start your preparation for the January batch, these 3 weeks, either you can start reading the AMC handbook, or you can read the pediatrics or gynae and obstetrics chapters from John Mortag. Okay? Because I will start with cardiology from the free 2 weeks class. So you don't need to start with medicine because I will do that. But in between that, you can start reading the pediatrics and gynae ops. You don't need any other Q banks. The course is more than enough for you to pass the exam. Yes, you can start with John Mortag 8th edition because the new one, you will not be able to get that yet. So 8th edition is enough. So you can start your preparation with that. All right, guys. So I believe we should start with psychiatry, right? So for psychiatry, the books you need, it will be John Mortag 9th edition, Kaplan Step to CK. The website that we can follow are Range CP Medscape. Very, very important is UWorld USMLE. UWorld USMLE is kind of a QBank for USMLE, but that QBank has got a lot of important questions with detailed answers about the psychiatry. So if you can read those questions and the answers from UWorld, your psychiatry basic will be really, really good. And that is really important for exam. We will provide that UWorld as a soft copy. The lecture note of psychiatry it contains everything that you need. So that is really important. And we will also have a psychiatry question solve class where we will show you some of the exam related questions that come in exam. Remember, this is not the only psychiatry class you will get. There are four more psychiatry class in the course. So today is just the start. Yes, definitely. If you have any confusion or anyone to reach, so we have a dedicated admin for the MCQ course who will be able to like help you with any queries or any issues with the class or the course. So from your batch, there will be a dedicated admin just for MCQ batch. Okay. So that's what we are planning. So make sure that you get you get as soon as possible. We'll try to sort out your problem. The Nafisa, the course allows only one device. How many classes in a week? Three minimum. So three classes minimum always, but sometimes there will be four classes in a week. All right, starting with depression. So please do not get depressed after learning all of these things. I don't mean to make you depressed or scared. I wanted to give you the reality about MCQ preparation. But the good thing is that if you just have a look on First Aid AMC MCQ group, you'll see how many students have written their feedback for MCQ pass. Just have a look on those posts, have a look on all of our past students who passed the exam. You will feel that it is not the difficult exam. It is possible, and if you give time, like any other exam, you will pass this exam without any difficulty. So just be hopeful. Make sure that you are prepared to take this journey in your heart, because it is not the easiest journey ahead, but with time, with preparation, each step will become more and more smooth. Okay? If you pass MCQ, that means you are already into that step. So the first thing I would suggest you is first think in your head that is this is a journey that you want to start with? If is this is something that's going to be your life ahead? If it is the case, then there is no turning backwards. So give everything that you have. Ask your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend that you are going for the exam and you don't have time to chat. Okay? So you will need to give that the sacrifice is there. And every one of us who did the exam, who passed the exam, we sacrificed, our partner sacrificed. But at the end, every one of us has come to the point that where we wanted to be. So with it's important to have the dream and have the thinking in your head that this is what I'm going to do. And this is the first step of my dream, and I will go one step at a time. Okay? So, starting with the psychiatry class. So, first topic that we are going to discuss is the depression. So, psychiatry we cover from Kaplan Step to CK and John Mutak both. So, first thing that we are discussing is the major depressive disorder. Major depressive disorder, the criteria is really important to know. So we say that a patient has major depressive disorder or MDD if someone fulfills this criteria. So they have at least 5 of the following symptoms for at least 2 weeks. The symptoms of depression will be they have depressed mood, loss of interest, which is also known as anhedonia, change in weight. So most of them will have loss of weight and loss of appetite. Change in sleep. So most of them have insomnia. Some will have oversleeping or hypersomnia. Psychomotor agitation or retardation. Psychomotor retardation is common where patient with depression slows down. So they're slow on everything. They don't want to go anywhere. They just want to sleep. So slowing down is usually what we call psychomotor retardation. Loss of energy and fatigue. So they get quite tired, worthlessness, or having a guilt feeling. So they have this guilty feeling. They will have lack of concentration or focus, and some of them will have suicidal thought. So out of these 9 symptoms, if someone get 5, which last for at least 2 weeks, that is the time you can say patient has major depressive disorder. We remember this by MCQ. So MCQ is a mnemonic for these 9 symptoms. M for mood, so mood will be low or irritable. S for sleep, so they will have insomnia. I for loss of interest, anhedonia. G for guilt. E for lack of energy or fatigue, tired. C for loss of concentration. A for loss of appetite or weight. P for psychomotor retardation or agitation. And S, which is very important, suicidal thought. If a question asks that what is the most important question you will ask in a patient who has depression? Or they give you a scenario of depression and they ask you what is the most important thing that you will ask in this patient, or what is the most important thing to consider in that patient. Any depressed patient, the most important question that we always need to ask, if they have any suicidal thought or if they have done any suicidal attempt. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Now, the most two important symptom to make a diagnosis of depression is these two. So to make a diagnosis of major depressive disorder, the patient need at least depressed mood or loss of interest. These two are, at least one of them is must to have. Okay? So that's how we can diagnose a patient with major depressive disorder. Yes, the class is recorded. So this recorded class will be given in YouTube and also into the Facebook, also into the portal. So the two criteria for major depressive disorder is definitely depressed mode and marked loss of interest, persisting for at least 2 weeks. The DSM-5 criteria has some other depression-related classifications. So if it is a major depressive disorder, we can divide that into mild, moderate, and severe based on the symptoms. There is a condition called PDD, persistent depressive disorder. That is a condition where patient has long-standing depression for at least 2 years. So if a patient has depression of mild severity for at least 2 years, that patient will be termed as persistent depressive disorder. Few other things to learn, that if a patient with major depressive disorder has psychotic features, like they see things that others don't, like visual hallucination, they are hearing voices such as auditory hallucination. MDD with psychosis, they are the worst. They have definitely, that is a severe MDD, and they have the worst prognosis. Typical feature of depression is loss of weight, loss of appetite, and decreased sleep. But the atypical feature of depression is increased weight, increased appetite, and increased sleep. These are a bit atypical, but some depressed patient can have these symptoms. Now, depression in children and adolescent. So children and adolescent, like teenagers, do not usually come exactly the same way adult patient comes. Adult patients' depression, they come to you as like low mood, crying, loss of interest, whereas depressed children comes more as being irritable and angry. So instead of being sad, their mood is usually irritable and angry, but they also have feeling of helplessness, worthlessness, lack of self-esteem. Those are very common in children. There is a condition called recurrent brief depression. So this is a condition where instead of 2 weeks, these patients, the depression lasts for 3 to 7 days. And often it happens like monthly. Some patients get this around their menstruation. So we know that for major depressive disorder, one of the treatment is antidepressant. It's a medication, but antidepressant doesn't work for this recurrent brief depression. For recurrent brief depression, the alternative treatment is lithium. And also we need to go for psychotherapy, which is psychological counseling, commonly known as cognitive behavioral therapy. So what is CBT? CBT is usually every depression patient will need to go for a counseling. That is always there as part of the treatment. And for mild to moderate depression, CBT is the treatment of choice, or psychological counseling is the treatment of choice. So in this CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, The psychologist will listen to a patient's the negative thoughts that they have about their life. And the psychologist will try to convert those negative thoughts into something positives. So converting the negative thoughts into something healthy and something different and positive for a patient is what we do in CBT. So, and that is the treatment for mild to moderate depression as well as this recurrent brief depression. If CBT doesn't work, then you can add lithium as an adjunctive medication. Now, the management guideline for depression. As I said, for mild to moderate, usually the treatment is psychological counseling. But if it is severe, you will need to add antidepressant on the top of psychological counseling. So how we know who is mild to moderate and who is severe? Ideally, it is the symptom of the patient which will make us think how bad is the depression. Definitely, severe depression patient will have suicidal thought. They will go for suicidal attempt, and their social, occupational, personal, familial, all life will be impaired by the depression. That is the time we will call that this is severe. Anyone who has psychosis, that's severe. Okay? So for severe depression, antidepressant will be a treatment of choice. For mild to moderate, they will not have suicidal thought. They still can function. That is the time your treatment of choice is psychological counseling. So when we talk about antidepressant or the treatment, there are lots of antidepressant in the market. So what are the antidepressant that we commonly use in depression? The most common antidepressant are SSRI. So selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which means they increase the serotonin in the brain, which the depression patient usually lack of, right? So lots of SSRI is there. So you should know the common names of them so that you know that this medication is a SSRI. So the common SSRI are fluoxetine, citalopram, escitalopram, sertraline, paroxetine, and fluvoxamine. All of them are commonly used in Australia, and you should know their name at least. So this is usually the first line antidepressant that we will use in Australia. There is another one called SNRI, selective non-adrenaline reuptake inhibitor. And under the SNRI, we have venlafaxine and desvenlafaxine. These are also commonly used in Australia. There are some atypical antidepressant or newer antidepressant like metazapine. That's another common. Very rarely we would use bupropion. There is a very new, like very recent one called vortioxetine. And reboxetine. I can remember the difficult name quite easily, as you can see, but the easy name I tend to forget. So these are the common antidepressant that we have in Australia, and all the vortioxetine, reboxetine, bupropion, these are not commonly used. All of the others like SSRI, SNRI, and this atypical metazapine, these are very commonly used. So you should know their name, because if you don't know, you will not know that like what the question is actually asking you. Now, although pharmacology is not a question in the exam, but the AMC MCQ exam is full of pharmacology question, because a lot of side effects, lot of drug related interaction come in the exam. So you should know the common side effects of common medication that we use. So what are the side effects profile for SSRI? Most of the SSRI will give abdominal or GIT upset. So they will have nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain. Some of them can give headache, dry mouth, drowsiness, and almost every one of them will give sexual dysfunction. So the common side effects are usually GIT upset and sexual dysfunction. Okay? If you look over here, these are the common side effects. So insomnia, some will cause more sedation. Appetite can be changed, nausea, dry mouth, headache, sexual dysfunction. Mirtazapine, which is the atypical one, the common side effect of mirtazapine is severe sedation. So this is usually one of the antidepressant which will make patient very sleepy. So if someone is struggling to sleep as part of depression, then this medication is not a bad idea because it's going to help the patient to sleep. That's for like patient who has severe insomnia. And others, like it can increase the cholesterol, weight gain, you should know about them. Then common side effect of venlafaxine and desvenlafaxine, which is the SNRI. Their main side effects are also the same: nausea, headache, insomnia, drowsiness. Now, this is one of the antidepressant which can actually cause weight loss. Now, a lot of female in Australia, they don't like the weight gain side effect of the antidepressant. And they will ask you that, I don't like the weight gain part of it. Is there any other medication that I can try? That is the time you have the option of giving this venlafaxine, desvenlafaxine, because they don't usually cause weight gain. Okay? One of the common side effects of venlafaxine is that it causes hypertension. Sometimes initially it can increase the risk of suicide, but it's not that common. And it can increase the risk of seizure in epilepsy patient. So learn these side effects because these are quite important, comes in exam a lot. Now have a look at this question to understand how exam question can appear. A 72-year-old man comes to the office due to worsening depression and insomnia since his wife died 7 months ago. The patient experiences lethargy, episode of tearfulness, has little interest in socializing, already attended 3 sessions of psychotherapy. However, patient continues to feel depressed, now having severe insomnia. He has difficulty falling asleep. He feels guilty about her death. And there was a time in the last week where he had a thought of suicide. Loss of weight. So you can see this patient has got all the features of depression, right? So we have got tearfulness, lethargy, lack of interest, feeling depressed, insomnia, guilty, suicide, weight loss. So almost all the 9 symptoms of major depression is there. And the duration is for 7 months. So this fulfills the criteria of major depressive disorder. And given the patient has suicidal thought, it is a severe depression, right? So the question in here is the most appropriate next step. This is quite a common way of asking questions in the exam. So in exam, if they ask most appropriate next, it means that you have done something so far. You have given the patient psychological counseling. What is the next step? So in here, do you want to increase the psychotherapy session? Do you want to prescribe amitriptyline, which is a tricyclic antidepressant, another kind of antidepressant, and continue psychotherapy? Prescribe mirtazapine and continue psychotherapy. Zolpidem is a benzodiazepine. Provide reassurance or ECT, which is the electroconvulsive therapy. So definitely this patient, we need to put the patient on an antidepressant. And in here, we have antidepressant B, which is amitriptyline. We have C, mirtazapine. We never give benzodiazepine as part of antidepressant treatment. Yes, it can help the insomnia, but it's not our best choice. And electroconvulsive therapy is only needed if you have given medication and patient took maximum dose of antidepressant, multiple antidepressant, still patient is not getting any better, and patient is having a life-threatening situation because of depression, that is the only time electroconvulsive therapy will be given for depression. That is the last resort. Okay. So for this patient, between B and C, mirtazapine will be much better because amitriptyline or TCA, they are not anymore the first line treatment for major depression. Okay. And it's also going to help the patient's severe insomnia, which is the mirtazapine can cause sedation. So that will be helpful for this patient. Okay. Now, few other questions that frequently come in exam as part of the side effect of antidepressant. So let's say we have got a patient who you started with sertraline, 100 milligram tablet. Okay. So sertraline comes as 50 milligram and 100 milligram. These are the two doses that is available. So you started the patient with sertraline 100 milligram, and after 4 weeks, patient is having persistent nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain. What is going to be your next step? Now, it's always an option that we can reduce the dose and see if that works out for the patient. But before we reduce the dose, we need to know that is this 100 milligram sertraline is actually good for the patient. That means, let's say that even with 100 milligram sertraline, patient is still having depression or patient depression is not well controlled. In that case, if we reduce the dose to 50, then actually depression is going to get worse. So there is no point of keeping this medication. So idea is if a patient has got GIT upset and there is a persistent severe GIT upset, then you first look at the dose. This is the dose that we can reduce? Yes, we can because sertraline has a 50 milligram dose. But before we reduce the dose, we need to know whether the patient's depression is well controlled. If the depression is well controlled on 100, then we can try the reduced dose of 50 and see if the GIT upset is better with that. But if even with 100 milligram, the depression is still worse, in that case, you need to switch this SSRI to a different SSRI. So you can switch the sertraline, let's say to fluoxetine. So you can choose different SSRI in that case. Not every SSRI will give the same GIT upset. Does it make sense, guys? Brilliant. Okay, now the second thing that's also important for exam, let's say we have got a patient who is on sertraline 100 milligram and patient has got sexual dysfunction, and because of the sexual dysfunction, patient is about to get a divorce. Now that is really problematic, right? So you don't want a patient to get a divorce because of a medication at least. So what you can do about it? So sertraline 100 milligram or any antidepressant, especially any SSRI, can give sexual dysfunction. Now, again, the same question. Is 100 milligram sertraline is making the patient's depression well controlled? If 100 milligram is not treating the depression, then reducing the dose is not going to work. So forget that part. Change it to something else. But if 100 milligram is enough for the patient's depression, then before we try to change it to something else, we can again try to reduce the dose to 50 milligram and see how the sexual dysfunction is. If even after reducing the dose, sexual dysfunction persists, then remember one thing, that changing it to a different SSRI is not going to be helpful, because any SSRI is going to give the sexual dysfunction to this patient. So if you change the sertraline to fluoxetine or paroxetine, it's not actually the best option, because they are also going to give sexual dysfunction exactly the same. In that case, we choose a different group of antidepressant to the patient. So the different group of antidepressant, metazapine is very good for this kind of case. Metazapine, bupropion, these are the one that will have less side effect for sexual dysfunction. So changing to another different group of antidepressant is the choice. If even after changing to another group of antidepressant, still sexual dysfunction persists, your last option is to add a sildenafil or Viagra. Okay, so that is how we are going to treat the patient who gets sexual dysfunction with SSRI. Now, when we change a patient's SSRI, we can't just stop a medication and restart another one. Changing the SSRI is also a bit tricky. Let's say you want to stop sertraline, and then you want to change it to fluoxetine. If you stop sertraline today, the medication effect will stay in the blood for at least few days. So 3 to 4 days, patient will still have a bit of sertraline in the blood. Now, if during this time you add a second antidepressant, you'll be giving too much serotonin to the patient, and that can cause a very bad complication called serotonin syndrome. That's why if we want to change one SSRI to another SSRI, we need to give a washout time. So let's say we want to stop sertraline. So we will gradually reduce the dose of sertraline, and we completely stop it for a couple of days, at least 3 to 4 days. And then we start the new medication after a few days. That way, we can avoid the complication of serotonin syndrome. All right? So while we're talking about serotonin syndrome is a very severe complication of excess serotonin in patient. It is rare, but it can be a serious adverse reaction to patient who takes multiple serotonergic drug. So serotonergic drug can be any antidepressant, sometimes opioids like tramadol, any stimulant drug like illicit drugs, which is like methamphetamine, ecstasy, all of them can increase serotonin in patient's blood. So if a patient takes multiple serotonergic drug, their body can have too much serotonin, and they can develop the symptoms of serotonin syndrome, where patient can get confusion, agitated. They can get tremor, myoclonus, hyperreflexia. They can get hypo or hypertension, bradycardia, tachycardia, usually tachycardia, fever, and diarrhea. So they look like this. So they will be agitated. Their pupil will be dilated, so mydriasis, because of overstimulation of the adrenaline hormone or sympathetic hormone. They will be sweaty, they will have tachycardia, they will be hypertensive. They will have increased bowel sound or increased peristalsis causing diarrhea. Their muscle tone will be increased. They will also have hyperreflexia and tremor. So that is what we call serotonin syndrome. In a patient with serotonin syndrome, you need to stop any serotonergic drug the patient is taking immediately. You don't need to taper or wean those medication. You have to just stop. So stop any offending drug immediately, and the treatment is supportive. So admit the patient to hospital. If the patient is dehydrated, start IV fluid and replace any electrolyte or any other fluid depletion the patient might have. Okay? And gradually patient should get better. The sexual dysfunction part for antidepressant is that if a patient is having sexual dysfunction with SSRI, first you can try reducing the dose of it if it is relevant or practical. If reducing the dose is not going to work, then change it to a different group of antidepressant. Don't change from one SSRI to another SSRI because they will give the same issue. So change it to something different or atypical. Once you start treatment for antidepressant, how long you will need to continue the treatment? Ideally, we need to continue the treatment for a minimum of 12 months for someone who got the depression for first time, and 2 to 3 years for someone who has recurrent depression. Okay, so that's all that you really need to know for depression chapter. So you can understand that a single topic can have so many things to learn, right? So that's why I usually give a lot of time in psychiatry, because psychiatry questions take a lot of time in exam. They are difficult, they are large. So if you don't have a good basic on psychiatry, you will not be able to get those questions right. So there are lots of psychiatry class in the course, so you will be fine, nothing to be worried. Okay? So I don't think we will go more than what we have done today. The rest of the psychiatry, we will be covering that in our course. Okay, but I hope that you got a bit of an idea that how to read the topics. It's still too early for me to expect that you understand everything. I'm not expecting anything from you, and you should not expect anything as well. Once we start the 2 weeks free session, it's going to be more and more clear. Remember one thing, anyone who has started MCQ preparation, even to understand what to read, what not to read, it takes 2 months. So the first 2 months of your preparation is the learning period where you will waste time, where you will start making notes, and none of them actually will work. After 2 months, you will start to become a pro. You will know in your mind that, yes, this is how I'm going to prepare. That first 2 months is your understanding, and you need to give us that time. And you also need to gradually get yourself adjusted to this preparation. So if you feel overwhelming, if you feel that it's too much, remember every one of you are also feeling the same. We felt the same when we started it, and every one of you will feel the same. So nothing to be worried about it. This overwhelming that there is a lot to learn, lot of things to read, that is common thing for everybody. Okay, it will be better. Yes, the slides of all classes are usually added in the course right after you start the preparation. So slides will be given before the class anyway. Dr. Afifa, there is no cost for previous recorded classes. It's part of the course. So anyone who join the course gets the previous recorded class as part of the course. Yes, there will be notes for each topic. This is one of the note for psychiatry. So same like this, there will be note for other topics as well. The classes are 2 hours in duration. The best device for the portal is laptop. So if you want us to want to get the best experience, laptop will be the best device to use it. iPad or tab is also okay, but laptop gives the best way to read everything and also go for the mocks and everything. So I really advise, if you have laptop, then use laptop for the course. If not, do not use mobile phone because I really don't like it. It's difficult for mock exams and all. It will work, but it's not the best. Abdullah, I would suggest that you should have a job while you're preparing for MCQ because recency of practice is important for a job. So you have to show why you didn't work during this time, and that can hamper you to get a job after passing. So if you can, please continue some work. You don't need to do like full-time work. You can at least do part-time work at least. Recalls will be covered in the class. This course is more than enough to pass the exam, guys. So you can rely on first aid that the course will be more than enough. You don't really need to go through anything else. Now, I want to show you that how you can enroll into the course because it can be a bit complicated, right? So if you go to Google and just type firstaidamc.com.au, then you will be redirected to our page or the website. In the website, if you go down, you will find out the popular courses. In here, we have got the 5 months MCQ course. So click on this check info and you will be taken into the next page where all the details about the course. There are some previous trial class videos and everything are here. So if you have any queries, any questions, most of the questions are usually written in here in details. So you can read them in your own time. There are some, so let me just go through this so that you get some idea anyway, because you will have some queries. So this is a 5 months course. We will try to finish the course by the end of May. This is your trial class today. The free 2 weeks class will start from 6th of January and the schedules will be given. We will add it in here as well, the schedules with the Zoom ID, and also you will be able to get it in our First Aid AMC MCQ group. If you are not part of our First Aid AMC MCQ group, this is the group link. Please make sure to join there. There are a lot of things that we update there. This is a course summary. So as you can see that we will cover full theory. In the portal, you will be given access of the last 5 years question solved discussions, and you get 1 to 2 class of recalls or question solve every week on monthly questions. Like every month that like you will be getting the monthly question solved, the updated ones in your batch as a live sessions. You also will get multiple mock tests. There are Q banks. You get recordings of every class, and you can definitely, the recordings are extended as you go for the subscription. You get CPD hours of 150, which is really, really good for covering any work gap in this year. There are 2 installment options available if anyone joined the course at first. That means in the first 2 weeks free session, if anyone joined, they will be given these installment options. Duration is 5 months. You get 3 to 4 days a week of class. And our classes are usually Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. Sometimes we might change these dates, but mostly these are the days then we get the class. Class time is 8:30 to 10:30, and it's usually on Zoom always. The theory, as you can see, that we cover from 9th edition John Murtagh, Kaplan, Therapeutic Guideline, and lots of other guidelines. After each theory session, we also do theory-based question discussion. Like let's say we did a cardiology theory class. After the cardiology theory class, we will do a cardiology question solve class. In that way, each of the important topics, you will get a question discussion as well for that topic. And then in the portal, you will be able to appear some theory practice test like cardiology mock, respiratory mock, like that. Other class are sample question or exam past paper based questions. So you get updated questions solved, and also any past previous year we did, like the last 5 years, all the questions solved that we have done, that will be added in your portal without any further payment. We also add updated mock exams in each month. So lots of software-based mock tests are there. So there's a lot. So you will not be able to finish all the mock anyway, because there is a huge amount of collection there. We also take classes on ECG, CT scan, X-ray, cardiotocogram, stat, ethics, fundoscopy, and arterial blood gas. These are important topics for exam. So we give more emphasis on these topics. Class recordings, as I say, that it will be given the whole time you have the access to the portal, you will have the access to the recordings as well. So you can choose either a subscription of 10 months or 15 months. All the books will be given in your Facebook group, the course group, where you can download those books and read as you like. If anyone doesn't have a 5 months time before their exam, our previous batch class recording is usually the best thing to go through, because previous batch usually will have all the updated theory classes and also the important recall-based questions. And also you can always join our new classes just to cover the new questions as well. Okay. So you might get a bit confused about this course fee. There are 4 options in here. You can read it in your own time. Now, just to give you a little bit of an idea about the CPD, CPD is a continuous professional development. This is usually a requirement for the job, and it is only required if someone has got a work gap in their career. So let's say 2026, you are not working. So if you did a course which will, like our course, that was going to cover that year as a work gap. So if you have multiple work gap, usually APRA will ask you to show that what did you do during that work gap time. So if you can show at least that you did a course which was relevant to your practice, that way you can cover those gaps. If you are currently working in your country, then there is no need of CPDs. Okay, so that is the main thing. And remember, CPD only works for that year that you're doing a course. So you can't add a course that you have taken in 2026 to 2028. That doesn't work like that. Previously, it used to work like that, but that has been changed recently. Now, remember, all of our mentors are working doctors in Australia, and definitely I will be your main mentor. And I passed my both MCQ and clinical exam in first attempt. My MCQ exam score was really, really high. I don't usually give that a score to anybody. And I passed my clinical exam with 14 by 14 station in the first attempt. So you are in good hand. And all of our other mentors, they are very, very well renowned mentors. Everyone knows about their name and how they usually take classes. So you will be in a good hand with the course. And I'm sure if you follow what we show you, you will pass the exam. Okay. So if you guys have any other questions, we still have 2 weeks of free sessions. You can always ask questions there, and then we will go from there. You don't need to take note during the class because the notes will be provided. Yes, so within the first 2 weeks, you can pay in installment. You will have to pay the second installment in 6 weeks' time. After passing AMC Part 1, you can give NJDREX. NJDREX you can give, yes, anytime. Yes, if you have a 6-month holiday before house job, that will be counted as a gap. There is no different fee for recorded class. It's the same fee, Afifa. Yes. So if you don't have the MBBS certificate, you can use your provisional MBBS passing certificate. That will be fine. Thank you, Dr. Sean. How to pay Munayat? So if you go into the, sorry, I was actually going to show you that. So if you go into this here, then there is an option of register now. So if you click on register now, you will need to enter your email address. Once you enter your email address, you'll need to click here to get a one-time password. Once you give that password, click on the submit, and then they will ask some personal information. You need to upload some of the documents and then make the payment through the website. Okay? No. So if you fail AMC multiple times, it will not be a problem. It doesn't usually go for the job. How many hours you should study? Ideally 5 to 6 hours. We will give a proper schedule, Caesar, for which class, which day will be theory and which one is question solve. What is PRC certificate, Amar? Justin, provisional registration certificate. I believe you need a proper MBBS certificate for AMC. I don't think provisional works. I am fresh graduate from abroad, can't work in my home country, prepare for MCQ. So it will be difficult in a way that recency of practice will be an issue, but a lot of people still get the job. So either people go back to their country and do some job before applying for the job, or doing or subscribe for the CPD so that your work gap is going to be covered in that way. Payment should be through card, yes. So if it's only the card payment, I believe any credit card which allows you to pay internationally will be fine here. So if your card allows online payment, that card should be fine. All right, everyone, that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the class. And if you still have a lot of questions, which I'm sure you have, we will always be there during our first 2-week session. Have a good night. Take care. Thank you.